Hello there guys and welcome, it is Aaron here and today it is time for me to welcome you back to yet another episode of our F1 2016 career mode here with Renault. Today it is time for round number 9 of the championship in Austria. We of course come back off the very dramatic ending that was Baku. If you haven't seen that race then make sure to go and check it out. If you haven't really seen any of the races in this series there'll be a playlist in the description because there have been some absolutely monumental races. Go and check them out and I'm sure today's race and the races in the future will be just as good. In the background though, just a little bit of a refresher for your memory, we are leading our new rival with Jenson Button, the McLaren driver, and also down the left hand side you can see that Williams have got 3 updates for today's race weekend. Now, I can't quite remember if we've got an update. I don't think we've got any upgrades going into this race weekend, which is actually quite a rare thing. Usually we do have some upgrades actually going into race weekends, but for this Austrian Grand Prix we don't. We're saving up to get some sort of upgrade for Silverstone, maybe even 2 for Germany. You can see actually, Hungary actually after Silverstone, my mistake. In the background though you can see in practice we had a slightly difficult opening when it came to track acclimatization, and I felt as if some of the gates for the Austrian track are just a little bit optimistic when it comes to the actual speed you have to carry into the corners. Which is a little bit frustrating. It meant that we ended up making quite a few mistakes and actually it wasn't a very good barometer of how to actually drive the track in the end. But we did get the 50 perfect score in the end, so that's 50 resource points for the practice session. Now we're going into qualifying pace and you can see we are up on the delta. Pretty poor exit though at that final corner. Don't think we would have got the perfect score anyway, but it is only a pass, so 30 resource points there. Again, we don't even bother attempting the tyre management test because I just don't have the time these days. You can see those session participation, track acclimatization, we get 50 resource points there, 30 for qualifying pace, 25 for passing all of the team objectives, so we're now almost at 750 resource points. In the background you can see our qualifying goals. We are aiming to qualify 12th or higher, to beat our rival Jenson Button and to beat our teammate Kevin Magnussen. That rivalry with Button should be over this weekend, so we should have a new rivalry for Silverstone, but we'll have to see now whether we can complete those qualifying goals as we head into the qualifying report. Overcast conditions were the order of the day in Q1 as Lewis Hamilton managed the fastest time. Carlos Sainz will start at the back of the grid after breaking down.
Yeah, for sure the car is not in the best place possible, no, but I'm confident the mechanics can turn it around.
Whilst Massa and Romain Grosjean start 19th and 20th after grid penalties. Going out early in Q2 was crucial as rain fell at its conclusion, catching out Yusufu as well as Sergio Perez and Fernando Alonso. Kevin Magnussen will start 10th due to grid penalties for others, but he was no match for Rosberg, who was fastest. The shootout saw Lewis Hamilton bounce back and take pole after a poor qualifying in Baku. Sebastian Vettel was second in the now Inters conditions, whilst Valtteri Bottas took an impressive 4th. So all of this means that Lewis Hamilton will start the Austrian Grand Prix on pole. Sebastian Vettel was second, with Nico Rosberg in 3rd, and Valtteri Bottas an impressive P4 for Williams. Daniel Ricciardo and Kimi Raikkonen shared row 3, with Max Verstappen and Daniel Kvyat in 7th and 8th. Then it's Nico Hülkenberg, with Kevin Magnussen starting in 10th for Renault, then Jenson Button and Sergio Perez rounding out the top 12. So then once again, it's another fairly disappointing qualifying session, really underperforming at the moment. We have got a chance to get this back in the race. You can see our strategy is a supposed one-stop, but you can see by the session forecast, it is absolutely all over the place. We're going to start sunny, then we're going to get overcast, then it's going to rain in the middle, then it's going to dry up again. We've got absolutely no idea really what the weather is truly going to do in this Grand Prix. So the dry strategies are basically chucked out of the window for this Grand Prix, and the drama, the tension is building. We obviously qualified technically P16, but those grid penalties, I think for a few drivers, I don't know, I think it was Carlos Sainz and Felipe Massa, have promoted us up now to P14 on the grid behind Fernando Alonso and Sergio Perez, who were also caught out by that rain at the end of Q2, but now the tension builds. Anxious wait once again for the grid to line up behind us and the lights to begin flashing or turning red. The lights are now starting to illuminate here for the Austrian Grand Prix. We are about to get underway, and it is go time now here at the Austrian Grand Prix. The lights are now out and we are underway for round number 9 of this season. It is an okay start, but not a great one. The Haas of Esteban Gutierrez actually getting a better launch. We look up the inside there of Sergio Perez. We've got an incident in front of us. It's Lewis Hamilton facing the wrong way. There's been a massive crash there at turn 1. Lewis Hamilton facing the wrong way. We've got some illegal overtakes, but they've now disappeared. That's where we were hanging back there in order to not get a penalty. Yellow flags waving behind, and this is what happened. We've gained a ridiculous amount of positions, and it's Lewis Hamilton who needs to beat Seb Vettel, ready to get his challenge for the title back on track. But he got an awful start. Vettel went up the inside, then there was contact, a second bit of contact as well. He swings the wrong way, and he's hit there by our teammate Kevin Magnussen, who once again is involved in the carnage, and a second hit as well from one of the Sauber cars just to rub salt in the wounds. This is how it looked on board from Daniel Kvyat. Wonderful launch from the Toro Rosso driver, passing Verstappen and Kimi Raikkonen down into turn 1, and of course Red Bull's home track. There's a bit of contact though between Kvyat and Verstappen, and he has to swerve just at the last moment to get out of the way of Lewis Hamilton. That was incredible evasive action from Daniel Kvyat. We of course managed to get through that unscathed as well, but the rest of the field being held up massively. Of course, as you can see, we are starting on the soft tyres in comparison to a lot of the field starting on the ultra soft. So those guys will be pitting probably around about lap 5 or lap 6. You can see debris everywhere from that lap 1 crash. But obviously we now are trying to go until it rains. That is basically our objective. We are trying to go on these tyres until it rains, which depending on what strategy the AI do, we could gain 2 pit stops on them from that. You can see actually we've got good pace as well on these softs, because we're now going up the inside, or that becomes the outside for turn 2 on Nico Hülkenberg, but we went on the grass slightly, so we decided to give that position back. But we are absolutely all over the back of Hülkenberg, and we're not losing that much time to the people ahead. We gained on the people behind as well. We're the leading car on the soft tyres, so if this strategy does work for us, we are in an amazing position. And again, we're going just easily past the ultra soft shod Nico Hülkenberg in that Force India. Our cars are fairly equal at this point, the Force India and the Renault, but we get an easy move done there. On to lap 4, now starting lap 5. We've got a few cars in the pit lane, so a few people even pitting before the 5 or 6 lap mark, realistically, off the ultra soft tyres. We're up to P6, now P5, as Daniel Ricciardo swaps his ultra softs for a new set of boots. Sebastian Vettel is in the pit lane, so we're just gaining positions all the time. Obviously on the harder compound, you can see the skies are getting darker, now up into P2. There's only one car left to pit, and that's Kimi Raikkonen, who actually started on super softs. You can see there a little notification at the top of the screen. That was Pascal Wehrlein is the first retirement of the day. We're about to see what happened round the corner, and you can see his engine has already given up on him. And this Mercedes power unit, there's been a lot of failures for Mercedes powered cars. It seems a very temperamental engine for this season. Pascal Wehrlein, though, unfortunately going no further in the manner, and we now have taken the lead onto lap 9. And it could be through merit. You know, if the rain works in our advantage, we're in a net lead here. And a lot of the people around us have put super softs on, so they may not even be able to go again until the rain. They may have to pit again before the rain comes down. We'll have to see. We've of course got a tyre conserve just to make sure that we get to the point where it rains and we can just automatically stick inters on. That of course, assuming that it rains heavy enough to put inters on. The strategy is completely up in the air. We're having to do this on the fly at the moment. Talking of fly, more to do with flying, Sebastian Vettel has flown past us in that Ferrari, obviously on softer tyres and in a better car. It is of course understandable there on lap 12. Later on the same lap, we're struggling for traction really coming out of that left-hander. That was a story of the weekend really. Really struggling for traction generally. You can see the tyre wear isn't too bad at the moment. Kimi Raikkonen there going through as well in the other Ferrari. We thought of a move back up the inside into the final corner, but lost the back end. On to lap 15, and we're really struggling for tyre wear now. But you can see there, it's perhaps just spitting with rain. You may be seeing just a few raindrops here and there on the screen, you know. And these tyres, they're going off, yes, but they're nowhere near being punctured. So we can go to the rain if we want to. It's just about whether we'd lose more time from pitting. Realistically, we've now got Nico Rosberg actually behind us, and some sort of mistake, I think, for Nico Rosberg. Whether he just lost the back end, he was having a very good race, but I think he might have broken his front wing, and with this, the horrible season that Nico Rosberg is having, let's just hope for his sake that is not the case. He was driving just behind us, we were struggling a bit for traction, and he just drives into the back of us, spins towards the wall, and he does indeed break his front wing. He's actually lucky not to rip a wheel off there, hitting the Armco barrier, and you can see he's now peeling into the pit lane. It's another unnecessary pit stop and another unnecessary mistake from Nico Rosberg, and his title challenge is surely over. You can see a message though just on the bottom of the screen. Our radio engineer just saying that it is raining, just confirming the rain is falling, but he doesn't think it's time for the Inter's conditions yet. On to lap 17. We're really struggling at this point because the track is really getting damp. Going out onto the AstroTurf, that's not where we want to be. Really struggling for traction, and Fernando Alonso breezes through there in the McLaren. So he is now the first of the drivers on our strategy. Myself and Alonso are on the same strategy. Everyone else just about. I think Carlos Sainz is also on the same strategy as us, just sort of making the softs go until it's perhaps Inter's conditions and then pitting then, and basically saving about 2 pit stops. We've gone past Alonso, but then outbroken ourselves. This track, is really becoming treacherous at this point. We've got Alonso now going back past us. We're having a lovely ding-dong battle, it has to be said, with Fernando Alonso at the moment, but later on to the lap, and he's gained a little bit of time on us, coming around the final corner. Surely it is close to Inter's. In fact, coming around the final corner, possibly the worst time our engineer could have told us, it is ready for Inter's conditions. The track is now wet enough to put the green-walled intermediate tyres on, and later in the lap it is absolutely, well, it's sodden. The track is absolutely soaked now. We should have come in the lap before. It would have been better to pit the lap before. The Ferraris now have come in. They have come in, but they've come in front of us. Sebastian Vettel and Raikkonen both passing us there. Because we were obviously struggling with grip and traction and whatnot there in this lovely yellow Renault. But at the moment, realistically, we are in a net P4 as we slide into the pit lane. We get reset. We didn't actually get a drive-through penalty for speeding. The Ferrari boys are actually double stacking, so Raikkonen is going to lose a whole heap of time here in this pit stop. Changing the soft tyres for the Inters. It's a decent stop, not a lightning quick stop from the Renault boys, but it's all right. And we are now, would you believe, in a net P3. Because at the end of the day, everyone behind us has now got put Inters on. So the race has now been neutralised, basically, in the positions we were in. And because we've had to do practically 2 less pit stops at this phase than some people, 1 less pit stop than some others, we definitely had to do 2 less pit stops than Vettel and Raikkonen. We are in an absolutely tremendous position. On to lap 20 here. We are basically in a net P3 with Alonso in second at the moment on the same strategy as us, and Seb Vettel in the lead. But both of them are going slowly, and we're going to just drive around them, surely. Some sort of damage for Sebastian Vettel and Fernando Alonso. And would you believe it, we're basically in a net lead of this Grand Prix, because of course everyone's on Inters. We'll have to see whether the wet conditions last until the end. But Sebastian Vettel and Fernando Alonso both encountering problems, and they are both slowing, and we are basically in the lead of the race. This is what happened. Sebastian Vettel going through turn 1, and this is really his first slice of bad luck all season. He's hit Felipe Massa, who came back onto the track. Fernando Alonso then hit Vettel, so both of them have broken their front wings. We've now got yellow flags behind us. The track is getting ever wetter. Felipe Massa struggling with a virtual safety car because Kimi Raikkonen is now out of the race, and what a disastrous half a lap for Ferrari. Vettel's going to have to pit in for a new front wing. He's lost the lead, and he would have driven off into the distance and surely won easily had he not picked up that damage on Felipe Massa. And now Kimi Raikkonen is out as well. Raikkonen there just driving past Fernando Alonso, you can see, and is he going to hit his teammate? He does! He hits his teammate, loses the back end, and goes straight into the wall, and loses the front left. And would you believe it, an absolutely cataclysmic half a lap for Ferrari. Sebastian Vettel picks up some damage, then Raikkonen hits his own teammate and retires from the race. Absolutely tragic scenes. On to lap 23, we've now got Daniel Ricciardo and Daniel Kvyat behind us because Sebastian Vettel and Fernando Alonso have pitted, and can you believe this, we're in a net lead. We are literally in a net lead because everyone is going to the end if it stays wet as it seems to be at the moment. Felipe Massa there going off as well. He's really struggling with the wet conditions. We're on board though now with Nico Rosberg, who's trying to just salvage some sort of result after breaking his front wing. You've got Felipe Massa in front of us, and it's a massive collision, and Nico Rosberg is out of a Formula 1 race in 2016. Once again, you can see the notification there at the top of the screen, and that is how it happened. And Nico Rosberg's wretched season 2016 has been an utter disaster for him so far, and it's been an utter disaster really for Kevin Magnussen because he's now out of the race as well. You can see it just up into turn 2. Our teammate's Renault power unit is imploding from underneath him. Kevin Magnussen is out of the race as well, and massive drama. 2 drivers out of the race in the space of about 20 seconds. Nico Rosberg through a crash, and Kevin Magnussen's unlucky season continues. He goes out with a mechanical failure, and it's just been the story of both of their seasons so far, Rosberg and Magnussen, the poor guys. Later on though, into this Grand Prix, lap number 28, the gap between ourselves and Ricciardo is coming down. We're not feeling massively confident on these Inter's tyres, whereas Ricciardo seems to be going very, very quickly, but probably burning his tyres quite a lot. You can see onto the next lap here, the gap is staying pretty constant. It's now 3.1 seconds as we go into turn 1. Ricciardo is catching us, but it's not by all that much. But the track, of course, is drying out again onto lap 30. The gap is again the same. It's 3.1 seconds. Later on to lap 30, and Felipe Massa is still struggling. Why he's not out of the Grand Prix yet, I just don't know. And he's going to try and get out of the way of us. No, he holds us up massively. This is not what we need, Felipe. Get out of the way. Daniel Ricciardo will gain about a second and a half from that, which is a massive shame. Across the line, the gap is now 1.6 seconds from 3.1 onto lap 32, and this track is starting to become dry as a bone into turn 1. You can see how dry the track was becoming, and onto lap 33, DRS has been enabled, and once again, coming out of the final corner, our engineer has left it too late to tell us that we should be changing tyre compound. And once again, that could potentially come back to hurt us. The track is drying. These tyres are not the correct tyres to be on. But at the moment, we are in the lead. We've got to fight for this for our life, as if our life depends on it. Daniel Ricciardo is behind us. We've gone deep there into turn 2, which isn't going to help us. And Ricciardo is now going to have DRS as well, because it's now been enabled, despite the fact we're all still on Inter's tyres. Doesn't look as if he's going to get through for now. Jenson Button there is in front of us. He's about to be lapped. Our engineer is telling us there should be a strategy change. Well, to be honest, mate, I would agree with you at this point. I really wish he'd told me half a lap earlier, so we could have just dived into the pit lane and maybe gained some time on Daniel Ricciardo, who is now absolutely all over the back of us due to that, and also Felipe Massa's shenanigans as well in holding us up. We've got to try and hold on to this lead to try and claim perhaps the most shocking victory of all time in Formula 1. This would be quite an extraordinary win if it happened. We're going to dive into the pit lane along with absolutely everyone else. Ricciardo's coming in behind us, but he is right behind us. We're going to need a good pit stop from the Renault boys here. This is going to be a battle of the pit crews, and Renault haven't exactly treated us very well in terms of pit battles this season. We've been jumped quite a lot in terms of pit stops, but we need a good pit stop from them here. Daniel Ricciardo peels in to his pit box, and we peel into ours, swapping the Inters for the Ultra Softs, but we've been held, and it's for Daniel Ricciardo, and the Renault pit crew have let us down again, and Daniel Ricciardo is now in a net lead of this Grand Prix. We're still in second, but we want to try and get this win back. There was some debris actually there at the end of the pit lane, so I don't know if anyone had crashed there in the Inter's conditions at the end of the pit lane. But on lap 34, we've got just under 3 laps to try and get Daniel Ricciardo back. We're going to have DRS, but so unfortunately, Daniel Ricciardo is as well, because he's going to have DRS from the back marker being Marcus Ericsson. And unfortunately, at the end of this race, everything is going against us. We've still got to try. We've still got to pray and hope that we can do something. But on to the next lap and on to the final lap now. Daniel Ricciardo sets the fastest lap of the race. And on those Ultra Softs, he is tearing off into the distance. He has incredible pace in that Red Bull. We could not match it in the dry conditions. We could in the Inter's conditions, but not whatsoever in the dry conditions. They're actually losing the back end slightly as well on this final lap of the race. We do not want to chuck away this incredible position. It's heartache because we could have won and we've been denied by a poor pit stop, but it is still going to be an absolutely extraordinary race in this Austrian Grand Prix, an absolutely extraordinary Grand Prix overall. We are going to come across the line to take P2 here in Austria. There are no words to describe that Grand Prix. Crashes galore, changeable conditions, incredible strategy calls, and just to top it all off, we somehow end up on the podium. What an incredible result for those guys there. The Renault team, everyone back at base, but for us, it is a taste of champagne and is a chance to lift up our first podium trophy in Formula 1, an astonishing second place. Well done to Daniel Ricciardo. He stayed out of all the drama and all the accidents and showed really good pace at the end of the race. He gets the win. Props to Daniel Kvyat as well. He got on the podium for Toro Rosso in P3. That's now 2 podiums this season for Toro Rosso. But crucially, it is a podium for us from 14th on the grid, and it was the strategy that was key in the end. Max Verstappen took 4th at Red Bull's home Grand Prix, so an incredible day for Red Bull and Toro Rosso, with Carlos Sainz in P5 as well. Then it's Perez, Alonso, Bottas, Vettel, and Rio Haryanto. to round out the points. And once again, just in case you thought that race couldn't get any crazier, 5 DNFs, all the carnage, the changeable conditions, Rio Haryanto in the manor gets yet another top 10 finish. After P9 in Monaco, he now gets a P10 here as well. Vettel struggled to P9, he actually got a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car too, but crucially for him, he still manages to extend his lead in the championship by 2 points somehow over Hamilton. And it's Verstappen, Ricciardo, Sainz, Raikkonen, Kvyat, Rosberg all the way down in 8th. Then Alonso, Perez, we move up into P11 above Bottas now, and then it's Massa and the rest. What an astonishing result for us though now, and we are now only 7 points behind Williams in the Constructors' Championship. An incredible run of form, topped off with a podium there in Austria. What a race. I mean, if you did enjoy that video, this video even, feel free to hit the likes button. What an extraordinary race. If this race doesn't deserve a like, then I don't know what does. If you're new around here, then feel free, of course, to subscribe. That would be massively appreciated by myself. We're growing now past 1,500 subscribers, which is absolutely insane to say I had like 750 at the start of this game. You can see the resource points that we picked up though after that weekend. Very close to now 1,000 resource points. But that is about it from me. An absolutely astonishing race then here at Austria. As I said, feel free to hit the likes button if you did enjoy. Subscribe if you're new around here as well, and comment about enjoying the video if you enjoyed it that much. Just confirmation we have won our rivalry over Jenson Button after that podium finish. It's been a pleasure though ranting at you guys today. Have a great day, enjoy yourselves, and of course, goodbye.